This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network. And joining me right now is Chuck Ferry. He is the CEO of DUOT Technologies Group. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is DUOT on NASDAQ. And you can actually see Chuck giving a presentation at our upcoming Planet MicroCap Showcase virtual event, which is taking place April 20 through 22, 2021. Be sure to register to go and check that out. Chuck, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on today.
It's great to have you. So first things first, I've done a number of interviews with Adrian on the show before. I think the last one that we published was at I think it was around the beginning or the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. So let's get an update. You know, what's been going on at DUOT, let's say in the last 12 months or so, some high level highlights.
Yeah, well, there's been a lot of change here in the company, a lot of good change, I think. Obviously, we were uplisted onto the NASDAQ, as you kindly noted. That was very, very helpful to be able to do that. And the company was very excited. The team was to be able to do that. Unfortunately, of course, like everybody in the world, immediately after the NASDAQ listing, the company went into COVID-19 with everybody else. Fortunately, we were able to withstand that. It did affect our earnings in 2020 to a negative degree. However, we have gotten through that, and today, as we're standing right now financially, we're in a pretty good position in terms of balance sheet, liquidity, and most importantly, we had a lot of customers, primarily our Class 1 railroad customers, that nobody canceled their orders due to COVID. What really happened is they delayed. And so now what we're seeing as we're coming into kind of late last year in Q4, where we had some pretty good results. And now the first part of this year, we're seeing those orders now kind of come back in and get reactivated. So in that respect, that's been very, very helpful for us. From a leadership perspective, obviously I'm new. I was able to honored to replace Gianni Archiani, who was our CEO and chairman for a number of years. He's has earned a well-deserved retirement, and we wish him well. But to join the company formally in September 1st, so it's been a real fast last 7 months. We have done a few things. We've also brought in some additional leaders. We've done some things where we had Scott Carnes, who was really running both commercial operations as well as our operation and technical teams. He's been with us over 20 years, really familiar with the railroad. We made him our chief commercial officer, really focusing on the front end of the business along with our customers. And then I brought in Mr. Ben Iser. He's worked for me several times, to include a tour of duty in the U.S. Army. He's the chief operating officer. And so we've introduced kind of a new set of folks in some key places, as well as have promoted and recognized a number of talented folks that we already had here at the company. So as we approach into this year, we've already given guidance publicly that although we finished last year at $8 million, we've given guidance for this forward year to land about $18 million of top line revenue, as well as break even. And we expect that's a very conservative guidance, and we hope to beat that. But and we've also developed some new products, and maybe we can talk about those here after a few more questions.
Absolutely, we'd love to get into that. But first things first, as you said, you're relatively new to the company, been now in charge for about 7 months. What's your background? I mean, how did you come into all this?
Yeah, I don't have I would say the normal background that you find from CEOs. I first spent most of my adult life, 26 years in the U.S. Army. I was an enlisted man, NCO, and then officer in infantry, ranger, and special operations units. That included my last 3 main jobs. I was a rifle battalion task force commander in Iraq. I've been a joint special operations task force commander. And then I had a quick stint as a director of operations at NORAD Northcom out in Colorado. That included about 48 months of combat in places like Somalia, Iraq, and Afghanistan. I retired from that in 2009, and then I took a job with a company called Arma Global. It was in the defense contracting space, largely lined up with US SOCOM. and other classified customers, delivering IT solutions and engineering. I'm not an IT guy, but I ended up running the company, and we transacted eventually with General Dynamics, and we joined GDIT, where I served as a general manager for a bit. I left there in 2016, and I took a job as a chief operating officer and president with APR Energy. This is a completely different industry. We basically mobilized, installed, and operated large scale fast power plants, anywhere from 50 megawatt to 300 megawatt, really around the world. We had places, power plants in Argentina, Australia, Bangladesh, and such. Again, we transacted with that company early 2020. I took a short break and then joined DUOT after that. So I was excited to join DUOT because of the really cool technology. And I think the opportunity to take, another organization that's kind of small, kind of build that team up, which is what I love doing, and, making us more profitable and more valuable.
Well, Chuck, I want to say thank you so much for your service. From all of us here at SNN, we really appreciate everything you've done for our country. And but I have to ask, we're a little disappointed. I was hoping you were going to say railroad conductor. I mean, look, being in DUOT, come on, man.
Yeah, no, it's I think one of the great things that I love about this business. My previous business, we operated in some exotic locations, and sometimes customers were, a little tough to operate with, and not always as reliable to pay. I absolutely love working with our Class 1 railroad customers. Obviously very large, long-term organizations, but just great set of folks to work with in an industry that's been, successful for over 100 years. It's very exciting.
Absolutely. All right. So tell us about some of the new products that you have currently in the stable.
Yeah, so I think a lot of folks know and are familiar with our rail car inspection portal. Since we haven't talked for, let's say, about 18 months or so, it sounds, we've actually made a number of modifications, upgrades, and expanded that offering. So the base rail inspection model had approximately 9 cameras and could inspect, maybe about 20 inspection points on a speeding train. Recently, with one of our Class 1 customers, we've actually added basically an additional 25 cameras. Those 25 cameras are now at a much higher resolution, from top, sides, and bottom. And now we're probably hitting, upwards of almost 70 inspection points on each of these rail cars. That's important because that's now approaching the number of inspection points that the FRA requires the physical manual inspectors to get at. So we're starting to get to where we're now seeing all of the inspection points that a physical car, mechanical car inspector can see. And so this is, now having a large impact. We just finished developing, and we're working on the patent applications for a device called the oblique view, or oblique vehicle undercarriage examiner. We have some videos on our website that can show you what that piece of kit does. Basically, it sits inside the track. It's got 5 cameras that look at different angles looking one way, another 5 cameras at different angles looking another way. They're 8K cameras. And we've done some interesting work with the lighting on this. But this is now seeing, just by itself, 21 inspection points, to include a thing called an F-pin, which is a particularly hard device for the railcar inspectors to find. So again, that combined with our software and our advances in artificial intelligence, it's really getting to where we'll be able to make a big difference in that industry.
Very good. All right. So Chuck, to wrap up here, my final question for you, from what you can tell us, you mentioned at the beginning of our interview that the company is giving guidance already for the next year. What gives you the confidence that you'll be able to hit some of those numbers? What are you seeing in the business, trends, value catalysts? I'd love to hear a little more there.
Yeah, no, that's a good question, and I think a good one for anybody that wants to invest in us, for sure. What gives me clarity about that, one, is because that $18 million of top line revenue is really associated with our existing customers. So all that. So when we talk about, okay, how much view do you have into your pipeline? Well, it's because it's with the current existing customers that have already bought our technology and are very interested, and we're fortunate for that to buy more of that technology. Not just buying the technology, but also buying the services and the support that goes behind that. So that's largely pretty much where that $18 million of guidance comes from. There are some outlier opportunities that we have where we could exceed that, but more importantly is the guidance that we're going to break even or better. This company, has had some tough past years, has not necessarily been profitable. Based on what we're seeing right now and some of the adjustments we're making inside the business, we should absolutely be able to at least break even, if not become profitable. And on a go-forward basis, that's really where we're headed.
Very good. Well, with that, Chuck, where can our audience go and find more information about DUOT Technologies?
Yeah, if you just Google in DUOT Tech, it'll take you straight to our website. We've actually, it's a new website, so that's something new. Our marketing team has put that together. We're really proud of that. We do all that work in-house. There's some really cool videos and some other white papers and things that folks can go to take a look at our technology.
And that's duostechnologies.com. Chuck, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck, stay safe, and I look forward to our next update.
Thanks, Bobby. Looking forward to it.